Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Check the pulse of Husker Nation, ladies and gentlemen. This is my gut reaction to Matt Rhule's first win as Nebraska head coach, first win inside of Memorial Stadium. All right, 31-11 over Northern Illinois. Real quick, gonna dive into the game right here, right now. But before I do that, the light show was phenomenal as always. Now, if you are happy, excited, enjoyed seeing Husker smash mouth football from the Huskers, and great defense like I did, smash that like button. Now, it wasn't always entirely pretty. There was some kind of up and down moments in the first half, but let's go to the beginning. All right, Heinrich Haarberg obviously started this game. Jeff Sims did suit up and he warmed up, okay? Now, on the opening drive, man, they look good. They followed the script. You script plays. Usually your first 16 as an offensive coordinator. They look good, went down the field. They scored. They ran a couple of option plays. Haarberg was running hard. Okay, all in all, 4 quarterback runs, a couple of nice passes. All right, a touchdown pass. The drive capped off 7-0. Haarberg to Billy Kemp. That pass was a 10-yard touchdown pass. Now, the defensive line kind of just overwhelmed Northern Illinois all night long. They started out the gate playing very well. But alas, we had to make it a little entertaining. We couldn't have you feeling too good, Husker fans. All right, a fumble deep in our own territory when we didn't pick up a blitz. Okay, they blitzed, we didn't pick it up. Trouble in the backfield led to a fumble. Northern Illinois got a short field. Now, the Black Shirts played great all night. Okay, I know they gave up the late score, but they held Northern Illinois to a field goal. So right off the bat, it's 7-3 Nebraska. The offensive line in the first half really wasn't playing great. Okay, they really were not playing well. All right, we were lacking a vertical deep threat. We've been lacking a vertical deep threat in the pass game. All of our passes seem to be relatively close to the line of scrimmage. I believe in the second half, some of the play action passes may have been 10 or 15 yards downfield, but that's really been kind of the extent of it so far, barring a double pass in the first game. Now, around this same time, I checked the stats. I did it a couple times throughout this game. I was curious. I was like, man, Northern Illinois, they're going to get 100 yards of total offense. You know, what are we doing rushing yards wise? Various things that I found were interesting. Now, at this point, the Black Shirts had only given up 37 total yards. Okay, and this was towards the end of the first quarter, and -3 rush yards. And at that point, the offense was kind of sputtering a little bit, and I literally wrote down, thank goodness for the 3-3-5 defense. All right, now, again, the offense struggled in the first half, got things going a little bit better in the second half, maybe, possibly, potentially, I don't know, maybe found an identity, so to speak. Okay, but the Huskers' first drive was 6 plays, 55 yards. Their next 4 drives were 17 plays for a total of 40 yards, but with under 5 minutes left in the first half, had a good drive that we put together. It included a hard run where Haarberg lowered his shoulder. He did this a few times throughout the game. Man, do I love that. Now, some people are going to say that's not smart. Right now, we just got to be good at football. And I love a quarterback that's running somebody over at the moment. Okay. And it was capped off with a touchdown pass from Haarberg to Thomas Fedoni, his former roommate. All right, this is their second touchdown connection on the season. Now, it's interesting because Fedoni has been clocked at 21 miles an hour at 6'6", 250 pounds. That's pretty impressive, even with the knee brace on. All right, now the Huskers at halftime had 3 sacks already defensively. I got to look and see what they ended up the game with. They came into the game tied for first in the country. I have to imagine they're still going to be up there pretty high at the end of this game. Nash Hutmaker looked really good, the polar bear, at halftime. Okay, at halftime, had 2.5 tackles for loss. Northern Illinois, their 84th year quarterback, actually it's his seventh, can you believe that? 7th year, okay, of playing college football. Rocky Lombardi, great name, been pointed out a couple of times. Now, he was actually the Michigan State quarterback in November of 2018, if you remember that game, okay. Michigan State 6, Nebraska 9 in the snow. Nebraska got the win that day, but he was the quarterback that day, okay. I got to ask, is there no limit to the COVID eligibility rules? I don't know. Seems like a fair question, but I digress. Now, the first half, the Black Shirts played well. The Nebraska offense had 2 touchdown drives on short fields, okay, admittedly in the first half. A couple of observations. Heinrich Haarberg, at that point, he looked like a young guy, okay, for sure, but he was playing with a lot of heart. How do you make halftime adjustments? How do you come out in the second half? How do you respond and get better as a young guy? First start at quarterback for Nebraska. Okay. Now, it was one of those things where he looked poised, though. I couldn't help but notice that he looked poised despite, some of the ups and downs in the offense in the first half. I got to ask another question. Why did Thomas Fidone give the silent finger to the fans? I would like, it's probably more so to some of the doubters that he's heard through the years. But I thought that was interesting because he is inside Memorial Stadium. A couple of option plays where maybe Haarberg could have pitched it a couple of times. All right. That was something that I noticed, but man, the guy runs hard. I got nothing but excitement for his future. And I really liked a lot of things that I saw from him tonight. Our first couple of punt returns, again, this is at halftime or right after halftime now, weren't great. Our first two punt returns for a total of 3 yards. Now Haarberg at halftime, I went back and looked at this point. He was 8 of 12 passing, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns, 11 rushes for 39 yards. Okay, and I wrote down here, improvement needed, but plenty of points. Now real quick, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor because Carriker Chronicles is presented to you by our partner, okay, our good friends, DPS Concrete Construction. They are your local concrete experts. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net. And if you are a diesel mechanic, if you are a CDL driver, concrete finisher, looking for work in the Omaha metro area, all right, Jason Armstrong and DPS Construction is the employer for you. Now, this is where Husker fans started to feel a little bit better about things going into the second half, okay? All right, with 1 minute, towards the end of the third quarter, I should say. With 1 minute left in the third quarter, Gabe Ervin scores his first touchdown of the year to put Nebraska up 21-3. Now, this is where it really started to feel like old school physical football. This was a 14-play, 76-yard drive, took 7 minutes and 10 seconds off the clock. Okay, I wrote Heinrich Haarberg, a very physical runner. Love his physicality. You can debate whether it's smart right now. I just love it, okay? All right, old school. Now, at one time, we're going in to score. We're getting inside the red zone. I counted 3 tight ends, but then I found out I was wrong. It was 2 tight ends plus offensive lineman Teddy Prohaska lined up as a tight end to the right. Gee, I wonder which way we were running the ball, but I love that, okay? Now, Irvin's touchdown run at that point was the first touchdown scored by a Nebraska running back this year. All right, the second half, our offense. It was just body blow after body blow, and we just kept punching them. I know it's Northern Illinois, but ladies and gentlemen, you got to frickin' start somewhere, okay? I couldn't help but wonder. I'm sorry, I apologize, but this entered my head, so I wrote it down. I said, how many non-conference games could we have won recently if we had just done this in previous years? I apologize, but Husker fans had to love seeing it tonight. All right, now, offensively, we're not explosive. Okay, I think we're aware of that. We have actually moved the ball all year at times. The biggest difference I noticed tonight was when we got inside enemy territory, and I'm not taking a shot at anybody, just an observation. Okay, when we got inside enemy territory, we didn't turn the ball over. Now we had the fumble early on, okay, I believe inside of our 10 or 15, which gave Northern Illinois the short field, led to their field goal. But Nebraska ends up winning 35-11. Now with a couple minutes left in the fourth quarter, this was another time that I just looked at the stats, and I got to look at the final stats, but Nebraska ended up doing pretty well towards the end of this game. Total yards, 329 total yards for Nebraska, 79 for Northern Illinois. Pass yards, 147 for Nebraska, 73 for Northern Illinois. Rush yards, 182 rush yards. At that point in time, again, I got to look up the final stats, but at that point in time, 9 total rush yards for Northern Illinois. They were averaging 0.5 yards per carry. Nebraska was top 10 in the country coming into this game, yards per carry. They're going to leave top 10, if not higher. Time of possession. At that point in time, we had the ball for 15 more minutes than Northern Illinois. Okay. All right. Now, again, the late touchdown. Okay, I get it. But Blackshear's pretty much dominated this game. All right. The D-line looked good. All right. The coverage was tight in the back end. Okay, the tackling was solid again. Offense got stronger as the game went along and maybe, just maybe, found an identity. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got some questions for you fine folks at home. Let me know your thoughts below. Number 1, Heinrich Haarberg. Is this a quarterback debate? Do we have, I'm just going to ask it because it has to be asked. Did Heinrich Haarberg do enough to be the starter? Matt Rhule has said earlier this week that if Jeff Sims is healthy, that he's our starter. Do you think that's potentially changed after this game? Okay. It is Northern Illinois, but again, you got to start somewhere. Number 2, second question, 2-part question, I might add. Did we find an offensive identity? Okay. I can't help but wonder if this has been our identity all year long, just minus the turnovers. What are your thoughts? Here's the second part of that question. we got things to improve on offensively, no doubt. What is your biggest concern offensively? The offensive line? Who starts a quarterback? What seems to be the lack of a vertical deep threat in the passing game or otherwise? Again, let me know in the comments below. Last question I got, kind of a random one. All right. Was I the only person who noticed Matt Rhule kind of sticking out his tongue a lot, licking his lips a lot? Like, could somebody get the dude a cup of water? I mean, I know it's random, has nothing to do with anything, but I couldn't help but notice it. I'm a random type of guy. Okay. Now, CarrikerChronicles.com. We have a plethora of phenomenal contributors to that website. Check out Carriker's crew. All right, you got Connor Hayden of Corn Craze. You got John Johnson of Corn Nation. You got Don Collins, who was recently added the past couple of weeks. You've got Big Red Country Jeff. All right, these are passionate individuals. These are individuals who do a great job, okay? And people keep hitting me up. As long as it's quality stuff, I love to have it on my site. So it's CarrikerChronicles.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I will be putting out more shows, more content throughout this week. I'm curious to see what Rhule has to say about the quarterback position, okay? And, you know, Louisiana Tech coming up. Can we get back to 2-2, heading into Big Ten play? Good old Michigan, okay? And maybe headed towards a bowl game, potentially. All right, until next time, Husker Nation, go Big Red. And always remember to throw the ball.